Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another Raw Reactions episode. Now today's Raw Reactions episode is slightly different because usually I try and do these live, but there's a good reason why I'm not doing this live, and I hope you'll understand and hope you appreciate the reasons as for why. But first off, of course, if you're enjoying the series, you're enjoying the tactical breakdowns. Obviously, yesterday I did a tactical breakdown on Nabil Fekir and got the thoughts of French football expert Jeremy Smith to break down the Frenchman and tell me basically all what he thought about the chances and what he would bring to Arsenal's team, Nabil Fekir. So if you want to go check that out, please do it. If you're enjoying the videos, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you're new with those notifications turned on. And leave a comment in the description because the comments, as always, have been fantastic, and I really appreciate all of the hard work that goes into some of these comments because they're almost essays, some of them, but I read through all of them and try to remember to respond to as many as feasibly possible. So thank you for the fantastic football chat going on in there. But let's get on with the video. Today's Raw Reaction show, in which I wanted to sort of give you an update and give my thoughts and reaction, my Raw reaction that is, to the updates about the Tierney and Wilfried Zaha prospective deals, which would see both players join Arsenal this summer. Now, if we start off with Tierney, obviously he's been someone that's massively been asked for, requested in our live shows. People have been asking about him. Why is he not signed yet? There's several reasons around this. There's several reports coming out through the media here, there and everywhere about what's going on. But the latest news is that Celtic have signed a replacement for him. Now, I say replacement and not backup, because even though I'm aware they have also sold another left-back this summer, there is links to a further left-back for Celtic being signed as well this summer. So they're in the market for two, and they're not looking to offload, but it's seemingly likely that they're going to offload two left-backs this summer. Now, I say reportedly because I wanted to call on a good friend of mine who knows his Austrian football extremely well. And it's Austrian football in which Celtic have targeted to replace Tierney with, it seems. So I want to hand over very briefly to a good friend of mine who works for Football Radar, which is a fantastic tactical analysis and statistics website breaking down all of football across the globe. And Tim Armitage is their Austrian expert and their Austrian correspondent. And yesterday he tweeted out the deal between Celtic and their new replacement and how he believes that Tierney will be replaced by him and not just be backed up. So we're going to pass over to Tim, and he's going to talk all about their replacement and obviously his thoughts on what this means for Tierney.
Celtic confirmed the signing of Rapid Vienna's Bolly, Bolingoli and Bombo last night on a 4-year contract for a fee believed to be around £3 million. Bolingoli has been Rapid's first choice left back for the past 2 seasons, so should be a good signing for Celtic. So what does this mean for Tierney? Obviously Tierney's been linked with Napoli and Arsenal, and with Bolingoli believed to be the replacement for Tierney rather than as a backup, I think this should mean that Tierney almost certainly leaves Celtic this summer. Whether he signs for the Italian giants or Arsenal, I'm not too certain, but I would be pretty confident that he will not be with Celtic next season, especially with Celtic also linked with a 21-year-old left-back from Nice in France.
So there you have it. Bolingoli is joining Celtic from Rapid Vienna, a good, strong team in Austria, even though my allegiances lie very firmly with Red Bull Salzburg. But they're a good team, and Bolingoli has been a good player for them. As Tim said there, he is joining them on a long-term deal after 2 good years there. And I think it goes to show clearly what Celtic are in the market for. They're after a player to come in and replace, not to sit behind Tierney. And as Tim believes there, he believes that Tierney will be leaving. Now, the issues that have arisen with this are, of course, that there is another team in the mix now, where we were told by several parts of the media that Napoli are in for him. They've obviously got a couple of left-backs there, but are seeing some move around and move on. Gooner, for instance, I know a fair amount about the Algerian left-back, and they want some additions in that area, and so it's unsurprising that Tierney has come up on their radar because he is a brilliant player. And if anything, it goes to show that we are being linked with a really, really top left-back of European football, and he's someone that will be valued not just by Napoli but of course ourselves, and so it goes to show how much he's valued. Do I think the deal will happen? I still think the ball is very much in Arsenal's court. I think that it's extremely frustrating on our hand that even though the deal is about 7 million off, if we are to be believed, that an £18 million bid was rejected and they want 25, and the fact that we've gone in with a 40 million bid for a player, which I'm going to talk about in a second, the fact that we can't stump up the extra 7 to guarantee we get this deal done is slightly irritating and frustrating, as I'm sure it is for many Arsenal fans out there. So what does this mean in terms of what will happen? I think it's going to be announced fairly soon. I am very confident now as the days go by that a deal is going to be agreed and announced. In terms of videos coming out over the weekend, I'm away on holiday, but I'm going to try and pre-record some stuff for you guys. But it's always going to be that time where someone is announced whilst I'm away, and if that happens, I will desperately try to get something out for you guys. I promise I will. But in the event that it does happen, of course, we'll be very happy, and you'll see a reaction to that as soon as possible. Now, of course, the second part of this video is to talk about Wilfried Zaha. Now, this is extremely interesting. It links to the Tierney deal because of the finances that are surrounding this deal. Wilfried Zaha has obviously been subjected to a bid of £40 million from Arsenal, which was, of course, rejected by Crystal Palace because they value the player at least double that figure. And the massive complications with this are obviously involved with Manchester United's sell-on clause that Zaha has of around 25%, which means that if he was to be sold for £80 million, United would receive about £20 million of that, which is a huge amount of money for doing absolutely nothing, effectively. And so that is a bit of a stumbling block for the deal. Now, the recent news, which obviously came out from that Sky cover on Twitter, Sky reporter, that Arsenal don't actually seem to be being quite truthful in their negotiations, that they're using this media storm of the whole 45 million rumour to really boost their position in negotiations, when in fact the truth is that they have a lot more money than that. Now, I've seen a few people comment on videos saying, stop talking about it and shush, but it's fair to say that clubs will be more than aware of this fact if it's going and surrounded by the media. But it goes to show the power of the media that clearly by reporting that Arsenal only have £45 million to spend in this transfer window, that it's very easy for Arsenal to then use that to their advantage, which actually, if arguably, shows a little bit of positivity in Arsenal negotiation skills, so fair play to them on that part. But we obviously don't know the ins and outs and the workings about what's going on. I, as many people, suspected that our budget was in fact a lot higher than the £45 million that was being reported across the media. I think that Arsenal will go for a second bid. I think they're very much well aware of the fact that £40 million would not buy Wilfried Zaha. I think that was very clear to see, and so they will need to go for another one. The difficult issues is that whilst Arsenal probably don't have that 45 million budget, they in fact have a lot more, is that they still will need to stagger the payments. You're not going to see Arsenal go over 70 million bid for Zaha and say, yeah, you can have all that money at once. It's going to need to be staggered payments, and that is going to be what's going to happen. Now, of course, we were linked with a £30 million signing of Nabil Fekir, which I covered in yesterday's video, I've already mentioned. And that sort of goes to show the type of players that Arsenal are after. It's seemingly we are in for a winger. We're in for also an attacking midfielder. The left-back Tierney we're going for. And, of course, this deal for Saliba, which is also edging seemingly closer as well. So my question really to you guys, and the comments that I'd like you to see put in the chat, or the comment box below, is if we were to sign Kieran Tierney, if we were to sign Wilfried Zaha, maybe Nabil Fekir on top of that, with a centre-back, be that Saliba, who would go back on loan, it seems, to Saint Etienne or someone else. Would that count as a successful summer if we spend around £100 million on these players across staggered payments? I think that personally would count as a very successful summer. We need backup in left-back. Bringing Kieran Tierney in is positive. If we were to sign Wilfried Zaha, I think, as I've said in the breakdown that I did of the player, which you can still go check out on the channel, that he is a player that we definitely need at Arsenal. He's a player that we definitely need to see on the ball, taking the ball forward. And if you combine that with the skills of the Frenchman, Nabil Fekir, you've suddenly got two players who are fantastic dribblers, fantastic on the ball, taking the ball to the opposition and making mistakes occur in the opposition's defences. And we've desperately cried out for two players like that. And whilst I don't doubt the ability of the likes of Mesut Ozil, I would much prefer someone in that attacking midfield role if we were to play a 4-2-3-1 system like we used to under the previous regime, which I still think is a very viable option going forwards. Even though we want change, that formation is still very Arsenal and still very effective if you use it correctly with the players that we have at our disposal. Then I think that we've got a great chance of putting together a side which can challenge, a side which can put an attack and build up on that top four when we're up against the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea for that fourth spot this season. And with the signing of Lampard for Chelsea, I think they might be seeing a very risky appointment, which could go one of two ways. I don't think you'll see a sort of mediocre season. I think you'll see one or either really successful reaction to that without any signings being made besides the likes of Pulisic that have been brought in, and obviously the permanent signing of Kovacic, or you'll see an absolutely dismal performance with an inexperienced manager at the helm. And then Manchester United are seemingly always Manchester United and then can face issues in their transfer market and who they buy and the success of those signings, losing Ander Herrera, possibly losing Lukaku. So if we can get Wilfried Zaha and Kieran Tierney in, which are the reports are that are coming out that deals are being discussed, and the closer one of the two seems to be Kieran Tierney, we hope that will be announced fairly soon. Then I think we can mount a challenge to get into that top four again this season. And I think that actually the budget and the dealings that Arsenal could do on top of the signing of Gabriele Martinelli is fantastic. I say Gabriel Martinelli, I should say. And you can check out the tactical breakdown of him on the channel as well. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a like and subscribe. Obviously, the comment section, as I've told you already, I want it to be full of your comments. The praise is always great, but I much enjoy reading your thoughts and your hard written out essays on certain positions and players, so keep that up. We'll see you again very soon tomorrow for the next video, and as always, up the Arsenal.